we're an insurance company, and we're founded on the belief that the majority of losses are preventable. Yeah. So what we do is that we invest heavily in research and development, solely dedicated for loss prevention. And then so we go out and make recommendations, and everything that we make recommendations on are scientific facts. What we then do is that we combine the scientific facts or research and development with our insurance products. And what really differentiates us, and I think from the sort of traditional insurance market, which is based on sort of an actuarial approach, which tells us that whatever happened in the past is going to happen again. We say that you can actually change the destiny and the future by making changes, physical changes, but also behavioral changes. And that's what our research and development is telling us. And that's our approach to insurance at FM Global. Yeah, this is correct. So at FM Global, if we look at the losses that we had last year, 2018, we had about 230 large losses. And when we say large loss, that's a loss over $3 million. So 1/3 of those losses were attributed to equipment breakdown. If you go into some more specific high challenge type of occupancy, like mining, chemical, or pulp and paper, or power generation, the similar figure is actually 2/3 instead. And this is because it's more difficult type of technical expertise in those, longer lead times, and there are very often a missing spare, which makes the repair much longer. Yeah. No, so what we've seen is the booming industry has led to companies taking the decision that they can't afford to lose the revenue and take equipment out of production. But what has happened is that short-term cost saving is actually leading to bigger claims for them, where they have bigger costs, longer revenue spread, and actually in some instances it's an impact on market share, which could go on for a very long time, of course. I would give 3 suggestions. The first one is boots on the ground. I would say make sure that you know your exposures, get an engineer in there to understand the risk. At FM Global, we have about 200 engineers that are specifically trained and educated and dedicated to large pieces of equipment. That's boilers, transformers, chemical vessels, turbines, for example, and they work with our clients to understand the exposure and mitigate the exposure. We're also expanding that to look into industrial control systems, including cyber. And that's where we look at the software and the hardware of the machinery, or the controls this machinery. So that's the first one. The second one, I would say, use data analytics for prioritizing. We have tools, our tools, I would say, are called Predictive Analytics, and that's where we take all the findings from our thousands of visits, and then we combine it together with our data statistics or the loss statistics, and from here we can see and predict where the losses are going to happen and when the losses are going to happen, and helping risk managers to put the resources where it matters. The third one, I would say, is operator training. An operator is the first one that's going to detect but then also respond to the loss. And if they're not properly trained, it'll be very difficult to know what to do. And when you think about operator training, that's operations, it's maintenance, but it's also emergency response plan and testing and inspections. So here we have seen that there is an increased need for knowledge transfer, very much because of the turnaround of the technical workforce. So those are my 3, get people there, use analytics for prioritizing to make sure it's where it happens, and the third one is get your operators trained.